How relevant is grace in my daily life? I mean, consciously, what conscious role does grace play in my life? Is there any relevance to grace when it comes to my relationship with the Father? Do I relate to the Father on a grace basis, or do I relate to the Father on a fear basis, or on a works basis, or on a merit basis that we have to perform or do things to get Him to respond to us in a positive manner? Does grace play any part in that? Does grace have anything to do with the posture that I take in relating to other people? Do I deal with other people? Do I relate to other people from a posture of grace? Or do I relate to them with a posture of, what can I get out of this relationship? We've talked about that a little bit in the past. Or to many of us, and to me for years, grace was just a point of doctrine that we adhere to. And we basically it's summed up when we quote, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, but it's a gift of God." So we know the application of grace somewhere back, and we hold to it in our doctrine. Or we give it a quick definition. One of the definitions that I was taught about grace is getting something that you didn't deserve. That was grace. We didn't deserve Christ. We didn't deserve heaven, but we received that, and we didn't earn it or deserve it. That was grace. But I believe there's a much more practical expression of grace in our life. Practically speaking, for many of us, that's as far as the understanding of grace goes. It's just part of our doctrine. We're saved by grace. And for many of us, we were taught that we're saved by grace, but you're kept by working. That was never verbalized, but that was always the impression that you would get, because, yeah, you may have been saved by grace, but now it's time to roll your sleeves up and do these things for God. And so it was saved by grace, maybe kept by works. And so there's a lot of maybe confusion about the area of grace. What if I told you that we were created to live out of grace, not just adhere to it as a truth, not just espouse it as a doctrine? It's very easy to espouse grace as a point of our doctrine, but the difficulty comes when we're trying to live out grace and what grace looks like in our life. But we were created to live out of grace. We were redeemed to walk in grace. Grace was intended to be something that was practically applied, practically received, practically lived out in our life, and not just a point of doctrine. God even says in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8, "And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that always having all sufficiency in everything, you may have an abundance for every good work." It's like it's almost repetitive to make a point. God provides all of this grace, not just for salvation, but so that you can live out of grace on a daily basis. I believe that grace is to be the framework from which we navigate all of life. We relate to the Father from a posture of grace. We relate to one another from a posture of grace. And here's one that we may have never heard. We relate with ourselves with a posture of grace. Is that our understanding of posture? Is that our understanding of grace? Or it just is just something that we adhere to from the doctrine of the group that we grew up in? Well, I believe God wants more for us. And I talk about that in this next podcast. And so if you're interested, maybe you might discover that grace plays a bigger role in our life than we ever imagined. If you want to hear more, just click on the link at the bottom of this page, and I'll have more to share about that with you. So Lord bless you, and may His grace be very real to you.